Many bulls about to bust back big time and completely bust on the backs of the Bitcoin bears. Well, this one chart is telling us absolutely. Over the last few hours, Bitcoin has initiated a very big move, and I'm going to explain why it's substantial. It's technically only about 2 to 3% on the daily chart, about a $1,000 increase for Bitcoin, but where it's at and what it can mean for this entire trend shift is absolutely completely monumental. And there's some other completely eye-opening things that I want to talk about as well. So if you love gainers, pumpers, dumpers, everything in between, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And without any further ado, let's completely lose our minds after this big bust. So the stock market today continuing to inch and squinch new gains. It is a very important backdrop that we have to keep our eyes on. The daily chart for Bitcoin is kind of where a lot of the absolute gigantic juice is to be seen on the daily chart for Bitcoin. As Bitcoin is more oversold and on this MACD, the lowest it's been on the MACD really since August of 2023, when Bitcoin was sitting around 26,000 US dollars. We're getting positive momentum on the daily chart for Bitcoin. But most importantly, if we look on this chart, this is the very first time since we've had the 21-day moving average go below the 50-day moving average on Bitcoin's daily chart. The very first time that we've had not only a bust above the 50, but also the 21-day moving average right here. Now, this is really important, and it's very big if Bitcoin can actually maintain this level. Really, we've had a little bit of a bust. As long as Bitcoin is at least able to stay above basically 43,000, it's very good for the constructive price action. Now, why do I say that? Well, if we go back to one of the last times where we got a bearish cross, well, literally the last time we got this 21 going below the 50-day moving average on Bitcoin's daily chart, it did exactly actually immediately after what we're seeing right now. However, it got a very quick rejection. This would be equivalent to Bitcoin like getting rejected where we are right now and like falling below like 41,000. And then not only did it not hold the 50-day moving average, but it also did not hold the 21-day moving average. And after that, Bitcoin went from about 30,000 to 29,000, but then the bigger dump down to about 25,000. And then it took multiple weeks to get our momentum. We got a bullish cross, and then price got constructive again and bullish after cementing this like $26,000 level as support. And it also did the exact same thing prior to this. We got the same bearish cross back in May of 2023. The very first time that it tried to get above these two moving averages again after that bearish cross, it did, but then it immediately in like the following day got a strong rejection here again, which led to more lows. Ultimately, it was, still bullish, but basically the point is seeing a break above the 21 and 50-day moving average within the same day, shortly after getting the bearish cross, the 21 going below the 50-day moving average, is very common. However, what is not common, or it at least has not been common throughout all of 2023 and beyond to where we currently are 1 month into 2024, is that if we don't get rejected here, that would be very unusual. So Bitcoin has a very unique opportunity right now if it's able to not get rejected here, right? It already has had enough of a pump to where it's a little bit of an anomaly compared to previous times this has happened. As long as it basically doesn't get a big dump here, that would be crazy. It would be unique. It would be very bullish. Now, we do have a large amount of momentum swinging more towards the bullish side for Bitcoin on these shorter term time frames. Looking at the daily chart for Bitcoin, we look at the MACD. We're at a very similar bounce level to where we've been multiple times, which this has precipitated big moves to the upside and cemented bottoms. Basically, it doesn't mean a massive bounce comes immediately, but it means that at least historically throughout the last 14 months, it is the bottom. We don't go lower, and then ultimately over the next few weeks, we do end up making like a new high. So where we are right now, I think is very big. Ultimately, again, I keep showing this chart. I think that ultimately we really want to see Bitcoin get above at least 44,000 And that's when things can get really big. Now, it's still really early considering right now we're not above 44,000. If we look at Bitcoin's daily chart, this area right here, right at about 44,000, a little over 44,000, is basically, this is where all of the previous resistance was during this multi-month move, the very beginning of December until about the middle of January, about 5 or 6 weeks, where we saw Bitcoin really trying to get above and then failing to hold once we ultimately did for a couple of days. Getting rejected, I think 44,000 is probably the biggest level right here. It's a big level of resistance. If we even look at the VPVR, you can kind of see a lot of the volume drops off right as we get above 44,000. It's a big block. It's a big block of resistance. So that's if we would see Bitcoin maintain here, that's bullish in my opinion. But specifically, if we can even push a little bit higher and get up to about 44,000, that's pretty constructive, and I think that would be pretty exciting for the price. Now, we look at the two week chart for Bitcoin using those same moving averages, but on the 2-week time frame. A couple of weeks ago, back at the beginning of November 2023, about almost 3 months ago now, when we got this cross, this bullish cross, to me, the indicator of the absolute, biggest confirmation of the beginning of these bull markets, this is where things turn bullish. Now, when we got it in the last bear to bull market back in late September of 2019, Bitcoin went from, right prior to that, was 3,000 up to about 14 or about 13,000, about a 300% pump for Bitcoin. And very, very, a big pump in a very short amount of time. So a correction was kind of overdue in that situation. And then after, a pretty decent, not horrible correction, we started going up, but then we all know what happened in March of 2020 with the crash. And then again, fast forward a few weeks, it didn't matter. It did continue, and we continued the bull market. Now, here we've had a lot different price structure where Bitcoin has only appreciated about 180%, so about half as much as it did in that same time span here. And I think that's going to allow Bitcoin to not necessarily, and I think that's why we haven't seen a crazy pullback for Bitcoin like we did back here. This was a very massive quick pump, about twice the size percentage-wise as the one we've seen so far this year, or these last 12 months, this cycle. And then it had a pullback, which again, seriously was not that bad. But then because of March 2020, it was a, even crazier dump that ultimately, as I just said, ultimately did not matter if you just fast forward a couple months. Here, I just don't think we're constrained to have any significant pullback the size of what we saw in the last bear to bull market back 4 years ago. So with that being said, because of how sideways and weak this pump was over the last year plus, I just don't think it's guaranteed that we will have to have as big of a pullback. As I've been saying though, if we still retest 30K, that would be absolutely more than enough to where I would flip incredibly, sell my house, go absolutely balls to the wall, as bullish as I could possibly ever be bullish. If we did get a pullback there, that would be a place where I would, be entering like I've never entered before, penetrating like I've never penetrated before if we got that pullback. But ultimately, do you think we'll get that? That's my real question. Do you think we'll get a pullback to 30K? How likely do you think it is? Because we've seen how this price action has been playing out over the past couple months. Specifically, now we have Bitcoin spot ETFs where the volume is starting to come in after Grayscale's redistribution kind of. Is there enough sell pressure? Are there enough people on this planet that are bearish on Bitcoin less than 3 months from its halving? I don't know. I think that potentially there are too many institutional and retail players that are aware of Bitcoin halvings, aware of the cycles, and are aware of what's about to happen in the next 12 months, that it's every day that goes by, it's going to be harder and harder to find people that are bearish enough to take that bet. Because so far, every dip we've been seeing, it's only been a $1,000 or $2,000 dip at a time. Every time we see a dip like that, it ends up being bought up extremely quickly. And I guess, like, realistically, is there a catalyst in this market that has the ability to really push Bitcoin, even if we do get a right now $13,000 drop all the way down to 30K? Even if we do get that, it's way more likely, in my opinion, if we got that, we would immediately at least bounce back up to like 36, 37, 38K, at which point you missed the dip and it's bull mode back on again, right? So it's really tough to try to make a case that this is going to be bearish for a prolonged amount of time. It's hard to see. We could still absolutely be in a more of a dumpy downtrend for a couple of weeks, couple of months. I don't think it's going to be as dumpy as a lot of people think it will be. So before we continue with more charts, BlackRock and Fidelity now own a combined about $100,000 of Bitcoin, worth over $4 billion in their spot Bitcoin ETFs. Because this is unprecedented. BlackRock and Fidelity, two Bitcoin spot ETF providers or participants, own about 100,000 Bitcoin, which is like half of what Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy has been accumulating for the past 3 years in just a couple of weeks. Okay, massive amounts. I simply cannot fathom the massive amount of Bitcoin that is going to be gobbled up by these ETFs. I think it will be completely something like we've never seen before. And as of today as well, Google now allowing Bitcoin ETF advertising after, it initially changed its policy to not allow crypto advertising, basically. However, because of these 10 spot Bitcoin ETFs being approved by the SEC, Google has revised this policy. And more exposure to the crypto market to people that otherwise probably would have not gotten into crypto is now beginning. Now, CryptoCon on Twitter also has this chart that I think is just very interesting, very easy to look at, and it's worth just understanding that here's where we are, end of January 2024. We should not expect a top for this cycle for potentially November 28th of 2025. So basically, almost 2 full years. Can you believe this? Almost 2 full years. Now, the top for Bitcoin and certain altcoins will be different. Bitcoin's not going to top out the same day as some of these altcoins, right? There's going to be give and take. And, 1 month, this altcoin might do amazing. The next month, this other altcoin might be at its all-time high. And next month, Bitcoin, vice versa. There's going to be some variation between the exact tops of each of these assets. But overall, really, if you look at that, we have a very, very long time where we should be able to expect massive amounts of pumping. And looking at this chart, I think is just a really easy way to illustrate that. When we get up to this red circle here, very big, November 28th, which is about a year, marks about a year of the bull market left, is like about 10 or so months away as of now. And that's also when we can maybe really start to expect this market to start going crazy. That doesn't mean we can't have massive gains in the meantime. I personally think we will have massive gains in the meantime. But really, this more so, the reason I'm showing this is because it really illustrates how early you still are in this cycle. But as I've been saying, I think this is probably maybe like the last big cycle before. I mean, think about it. If retail and institutions start going all in for the first time in history this cycle, how early can you be after that? Also, I want to look at like a top altcoin like Solana, for example, within a over a month-long bull flag descending channel here. And it looks to be actually breaking out of this level. We're seeing altcoins actually start to move kind of big here, a little bit bigger. Interesting. Very interesting to watch. Actually, if we switch to the Bitcoin dominance chart and just kind of look at what Bitcoin has been doing, we're continuing to put in lower highs initially back in December and then January, about a month later exactly. And here we are almost another month after that. And it seems to be putting in another lower high. So altcoins, again, I know a lot of people like altcoins and are invested in them heavily. There is going to be a time where altcoins start going crazy, and it does get closer and closer every day that goes by, absolutely, in my opinion. DXY is still stalling out, kind of in the same place where we'd expect it to. And again, I want to continue to watch the stock market. But ultimately, the primary thing here, as I started off the video talking about, is that if Bitcoin can maintain where it is, and as long as it can hold a little above or right around 43,000 US dollars, this will be very big, and it could actually indicate that Bitcoin has more upside in the very, very short term. Now, obviously, I'm very, very bullish on Bitcoin mid and long term, and short term I think is a bigger guess. It's a more risky play. But, I mean, look where Bitcoin bounced recently, right? The lowest we've gotten in the last month, we dumped all the way to 38. Where is that? If we draw a line just from where it bounced to here, it literally bounced at support exactly as we've been saying for the past like month where a pullback would be. Remember I was saying 37 to 38,000 for the past month. It exactly bounced there. So there's no guarantee that we won't go below that. But if that's truly the retest we were waiting for, that's ginormous. This market potentially, we're basically making the case that this market is potentially more bullish than anyone is giving it credit for. And that's really the kind of like the moral of the story here. And sign up with Femex below. It takes 30 seconds to sign up if you're interested in buying Bitcoin, buying altcoins, or trading. Without any further ado, that's it for me.